What's going on, everyone? I hope everybody had a good week. You know, the more and more you ask people what they should bring with their firearm, whether it be on duty or in an off-duty concealed carry position, you're going to hear things such as extra mags, extra ammunition, a rail light for your firearm. Those are all great answers, and those are debatable for another time, but rarely do you hear tourniquet. In this video, I'm going to show you some general application of a tourniquet, why you should carry a tourniquet, and some additional ideas for carrying your tourniquet efficiently. Okay, so the very first thing you want to do when you get your tourniquet is get it out of this plastic. There's no reason for it to be in here. This is just one more step that you have to deal with when you're getting the tourniquet out in an emergency situation. Once you have the tourniquet out of the plastic, now it's time to apply it somewhere. My general rule of thumb is anywhere you have your firearm, or it's likely that you will have your firearm, get a tourniquet. And I don't mean to be overkill, but you don't want to carry one of these around with you everywhere. So the easier alternative is, if you carry it in your vehicle at some point, throw a tourniquet in there. If you have your duty bag with you every time you're on patrol, throw one on there. Our agency actually uses a tourniquet holder, which I'll show you in a little bit. That's nice for your duty belt. Also, it's visibility, so everybody knows that the tourniquet's on you. They know where to grab it if you are shot. They know that they have access to one immediately. If you're on a SWAT team or special response team, et cetera, we also wear those right here on our vests. And kind of a cool trick for wearing those either on your vest or elsewhere are to just get some simple rubber bands, but you can wrap it around the tourniquet into your MOLLE webbing or into any other article of clothing. And what it does is gets that tourniquet stuck to the exterior or the outside so people know it's there. And also it gives you the ability to rip that off when you need it. Taking it a step farther, you could even take that tourniquet off of your person or out of that glove box and actually attach it to your weapon systems. This is attached to my long rifle, and that's just a preventative measure. If I'm going to be shooting this either in a real world scenario or in training, there's always a potential that someone else could shoot me, or there could be an accidental discharge. I know everybody wants to avoid that and act like that'll never happen, but it could happen. So having something close to you or on your actual weapon system is a pretty good idea. It does not affect my use of the weapon at all, and it's accessible. It's right here. If something were to happen and I have my rifle next to me, I can pull that right off. So this will be basic application of the CAT tourniquet. You can apply it with one hand or two hands, and it's a very simple tourniquet to use. That's why it's so popular. There's just a few items of nomenclature to recognize on the tourniquet itself. The first and most obvious is the time stamp. You'll write on the time stamp the time that you actually applied the tourniquet, either to yourself or to another person. There's the windlass, which is this rod, which is what you use to crank down the tourniquet. And then there's also the strap or Velcro. Pretty self-explanatory there. The reason I like having these things accessible and at the ready, out of their plastic, not all packaged up, is you need to get these on fast. Time is of the essence when you have an arterial bleed or a bleed where you are susceptible to death or unconsciousness. So if this is already out of its packaging, it's that much easier to get to. So to actually apply this thing, it's real easy. You simply unstrap this from the Velcro. You want to take this off the belt loop, which is this single loop included here. And that's, I believe, new for the Gen 7 tourniquets. To do a two-handed application or apply to someone else, you want to take it completely out so this strap is taut. You want to place this tourniquet about 2 inches from the bleed. So if your wound is here, stab, shot, otherwise, you want to get it about 2 to 3 inches from that point. So if it's here, you're going to have to come as far as you can up here. Now, that's not always going to be ideal. You're not always going to be able to get 2 to 3 inches up. That's fine. Like I said, main objective, stop bleeding. But if your wound is down here, shoot for that 2 to 3 inches. So once you get to that point, you'll want to feed this through the single loop, pull it tight, and you're good to go. You can start cranking down. Once you get a hold of this windlass, the good thing about that is it's textured. It's a really nicely constructed windlass. You know, this thing's not gonna break on you like a lot of the cheaper tourniquets have been known to do. You start cranking down on this, and when you get that cranked down far enough, even if you've got blood, grit, whatever, gook on your hands, it's nice and ribbed here. So you'll be able to get a good grip on that. So you crank it down. Once you get it cranked down far enough, that's what these brackets are for right here. and I'm hoping the camera picks that up. These brackets will keep your windlass into place like so. You can wrap your timestamp around that and you're good to go. Some people will have you take this strap over as well. You know, that's one of those things where time is of the essence. This is purely to get a quick overview of how to apply a tourniquet. So if you're trying to get one on quickly, stop the bleeding. You want to crank this down and keep this tight enough so far as to where the bleeding stops. Once the wound is clear from bleeding, you know you're down far enough. Also, you can do the finger test. They say if you can get 3 fingers under there, then it's not tight enough. So mainly, like I said, in a bad situation, concentrate on the bleeding stopping. Don't forget to mark the time that you applied the tourniquet. Also, again, I don't know who's watching this video, so if this is your first time ever watching a tourniquet application video, you never ever take this thing off. You can put another one on, but don't take the tourniquet off. If you have to apply another tourniquet because this simply isn't doing its job, you just want to apply it right next to the first tourniquet. So we talked about a two-handed where you would come out and have this single strap and feed it through the loop. Well, these cat tourniquets come already fed through the loop, and there's a reason for that. The reason they come fed through the loop is if you are single-handed, if I'm shot in this right arm here and I've only got my left arm, I want to be able to feed that through with one hand. You see how that works? And once that's fed through one hand, I can strap it down. Oh, that's out of frame. Let me get in frame here. Strap it down and kind of do that wrenching. And there's that Velcro that's going to secure it on the back. And once you're ready to use this windlass, you start cranking down. Same concept as the leg. So you can do a one-handed application. It's going to be the same thing for your leg if you had to do it one-handed. But the most important thing is on these tourniquets, they come right out of the bag. They come right out of the plastic, already looped through that single loop. That's very important because if you have to do a one-handed application, keep it in the loop. All right, that's another video in the books. Keep in mind this video was on the cat tourniquet specifically. There are plenty of other good options out there, but this is the version that I'm familiar with and I'm most comfortable telling everyone else about. If you want to check out some different content, I have Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook. I do contests and giveaways and some different content on those channels, so check those out if you want. As always, stay safe, and I'll see you next week.